Mayor-elect here in New York City is Mamdani. Democrats with the sweep we were talking about in the elections last night. New York, a big part of that. Back with us today after joining us during our special coverage last night is Paul Rieckhoff, host of the Independent Americans podcast, which is now, a daily occurrence, right?
Yep, lots to dig into.
Lots to dig into. Centrists like you, is that mandate apply here in New York City?
No. No way. Because
are you leaving?
But everybody can look at the numbers, right? And I think it was groundbreaking. It was historic. It united lots of New Yorkers who felt left out. It was a lot of change. But the bottom line was it was still a very left-of-center speech, and the results don't show a mandate. It got 50.4%. So what it shows is New York, like so much of America, is divided. And that's 54.4% in a city that usually goes 65% to Democrats.
Right.
So he underperformed normal Democrats, a reflection of how atrocious his competitors were, how divided this city is, and it's going to be very tough to govern with 50.4%. Trump said he had a mandate too, and he didn't. It was a deeply divided electorate, and I think that's true across the country, even in New York City. You've got a far left, you've got a far right, and most of the country today, especially, is stuck somewhere in the middle without options.
But I thought the center left anyway. I was just talking to our previous guests about this. The Democratic Party did have a good night last night in both Virginia and New Jersey. In fact, I think those are bigger stories if you're going to try to project out, which we probably shouldn't do as much as we do anyway to next year, because who knows, a lot can happen in a year. But like New Jersey was a bigger story to me than New York.
It is and it's not. It's a big story because moderate women with national security backgrounds, Mikey Sherrill, a helicopter pilot,
yes.
Spangenberger, a former CIA agent, did well. But these are also two states Democrats should win, right?
Yeah, no,
the headline today
I think it's like minority voters that went to Trump last time in bigger numbers now went back the other way. I do think that's a big deal. Trump made some inroads in those communities.
But Trump also didn't campaign in those two places. I think today Trump might be kicking himself that he didn't go harder into New Jersey, harder into Virginia, because it looks like unless Trump's on the ballot, his people aren't turning out.
Bingo.
So I think
that's always been the case.
There's a headline that says, Democrats sweep the states. Democrats swept Democrat states. These are blue states. They won in California. They won in New York. These are places they should win. And I think today they're a little high on their own supply. They're feeling pretty good about it because they're so starved for wins. But I think if you look under the hood, you've still got serious challenges going into a midterm where the Democratic brand nationally continues to take hits, and Mamdani's not going to help that, especially if you're trying to win in a purple state.
I see all of those points. I agree with all those points, but I do think, and this was made by a Republican, agreed to by a Republican strategist, Tony Delgado was on, that the Republicans also have this big issue that they sometimes forget about because of Trump's success, particularly last year, is that when he's not on the ballot, they haven't been winning. And that's going back 10 years.
That's a huge problem, all right? And I think what you've seen now is socialist Democrats can organize, they can mobilize, and that they worked what I think is a rigged system here in New York City. They worked it with mastery, and I think they're going to try to replicate that in other places, especially in the midterms. So I also think if you're a moderate Democrat, you have threats coming from your left in the midterms. There are going to be a lot of folks who look like Mamdani, who sound like Mamdani and AOC, who are challenging more moderate people like Mikey Sherrill, like Spangenberger and others. There is an internal fight for the soul of the Democratic Party and the image and the brand of the Democratic Party, and they might feel okay, but I think that's going to continue to unfold, especially when Trump starts hammering on them.
Right, which he will, but will some of those moderates, I was half joking before and I said, are you leaving? Will there be this kind of mass exodus that people are talking about from New Yorkers, both individually and in the business community? Will that actually happen?
I think the business community, there will be changes. I think that's definitely going to happen. Are people going to leave Manhattan and go to Dutchess County or go to New Jersey? I think those numbers are going to be small. I think the biggest question for Mamdani right now is what are you going to do about the NYPD? He has an NYPD problem. He said he's going to keep Commissioner Tisch, which would be popular, but even then, he's got huge negatives among the police. He's going to get huge pushback. There's a police union. This is not like taking over the Pentagon where they all shut up and just fall in line. So the NYPD is going to be his number one challenge. And if he can't control the NYPD and can't command the NYPD, he can't control New York.
Veterans Day, less than a week. Does he show up at the parade in New York City?
I think this is important. Everybody always forgets Veterans Day is 1 week after Election Day. It's a unique time to maybe bring everybody together after all the partisan fighting. It's also one of the biggest parades in America, and it's a chance usually for candidates in New York to come together. So it would be one of the first public appearances for Mamdani. He should be there. He'll probably be there. The question is, can he use it to unite others? Can he bring Curtis Lewa? Can he bring Cuomo? Can he bring Adams? Adams will be there. Can they use it as a unifying moment to start to build a coalition that brings New Yorkers together? Because last night's speech did nothing, in my view, to bring the other side to him and look like a mayor for all New Yorkers. Next week is an opportunity to try to reset that, maybe.
It was too divisive. Okay, quick on the tablet here, just on another topic we talk to you about all the time. Venezuela, these drug cartels, another headline now with 2 more killed in strikes on the drug boats. There you see the activity near Venezuela. The question is whether the land strikes are coming soon. Your thoughts?
I would say more likely than not. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't have inside information, but Trump said he wants them. And he said that he's even considering ground troops. You know, in the middle of all our elections, this is still happening. About every 20, 24 hours, there's a new strike on a boat off the coast of Venezuela. It continues to be unauthorized by Congress. There's no real consultation with Congress. And I think this is really almost a constitutional crisis where Trump continues to do whatever he wants with the nation's, with the world's best and biggest military, and nothing's stopping him. Nothing is slowing him down. And no matter what happened yesterday in the election, he's still going full speed ahead.
Yep, I think that's fair. Thank you for all the time last night and today. Paul Rieckhoff with us.